performance on KUVO. I'm Paul Donovan. We're live in our Bonfils Stanton Performance Studio, and we have a wonderful surprise for you. First of all, we have a packed house, studio club members here. KUVO presents the Rob Mullins Trio. Rob on piano, Gabe Roop on bass, and Alejandro Castaño on drums. Welcome.
One, two, three.
are listening to the Rob Mullins Trio here on KUVO. Rob on piano, Gabe Roop on bass, and Alejandro Castaño on drums. Wonderful playing, and tell us about what you just played.
This was a song that Miles Davis stole from a sax player. And it was originally written by Jackie McLean, who was a great alto player. And it was called Donna. And Jackie wrote it about Donna. And then Miles showed up one day and said, oh, I think I'm going to take that. So then he released it as a tune called Dig, D-I-G. And it's one of the more obscure things, but those of you, including Wavy Arms guy in the back, if you can't see this, there's a Wavy Arms guy in the back. He's like this. I think he's knitting himself a basketball hat. But yeah, I know. Yeah, we'll go with a shirt. But yeah, Miles put that out. But those of you that understand chord structures, the chords are the same ones as Sweet Georgia Brown on that tune. Yeah.
And I love the way you move around on the bench while you're playing.
Well, you know, they have medication for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. I mean, you just get into it, and it's just wonderful.
Well, you know, I was that kid in school that was never able to stand still or whatever, and I don't think I got one right now, but I was always playing like he was playing the ride cymbal. I was playing that stuff on the desk, which is why I didn't graduate any schools.
Well, you started out playing the drums, I understand.
That's a very good reading of my bio, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
I did my homework.
That's right.
Mr. Mullins.
Yeah, my first gig in Denver was at the Heather Ridge Country Club. And I worked with a band, you guys will love this. I worked with a family band. It was called Kurt Golitz and his Swing Set. And we were on the, out by Lakewood area, and we'd pack everything up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday. And Kurt played at Heather Ridge in the lounge the other nights, but it would be the special. It's the kids, the jazz kids. Yeah. So we'd pack us all up in his Cadillac, my drums, all that stuff. We would leave at 4 o'clock. We'd get there at 5. We would set up, be ready to play at 6. And I played a 6-hour gig from 6 to midnight for $10. Ooh. I know you all think it's too much money. I know. But Spotify is cheaper. But anyway, yeah.
I didn't know you were so funny. You're a great comedian. You always have something to fall back on if this doesn't work out.
Yeah, it's called a hardwood floor.
What did I tell you? All right, so tell us what you got coming up next.
We're going to play a song that my buddy Lloyd Trammell, actually I could do an hour worth of just shout outs to my YouTube friends and friends because I've been around a long time and I won't do that. But my friend Lloyd Trammell told me about this song. It's a beautiful tune. I think Nat King Cole did it. It's does anyone recognize it yet? Well, see, Denver rocks. That's good. In LA, they say Taylor Swift wouldn't play that chord. She would play this chord. But anyway, so we're going to do Nature Boy next. Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Rob Mullins.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful playing.
Thank you.
This is the trio that you're hearing on KUVO. Rob on piano, Gabe Roop on bass, and Alejandro Castaño on drums. So you were telling me, Rob, 42 albums, you said?
Yes, sir.
42.
42 solo albums.
Of all of those, do you have a favorite?
Oh, man.
I know I hate
like
these questions.
asking
Yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain who his favorite girlfriend was. There's like 10,000 possibilities. Half of them are dead by now. Probably the most important ones in terms of how I feel about it was album number 5, which was the Soulscape album.
Yeah.
And it was PBS and NPR actually that put me on the map with that LP, because I was at Metro State College and they said, we need a really good band. I said, I don't have one of those. To come in and we'll give you our national mailing list if you let us record you to train the engineers in our class.
Okay.
Said, okay, so we did that, and they gave me the mailing list. And so when I had the Soulscape record done, which was my 5th album, I made LPs, the vinyl things, and bought all the mailers, and I wrote a personal note to every program director at every NPR station in America, and they all started playing it at once.
Shut up the charts.
And it went, it was in the Billboard top 10 in about a month, and I got a Grammy nomination.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that one, and then all the way later on, a bookend for that would be the Storyteller album, which came out in 2008. And I used a lot of my travel experience and the influence of Russian composers to kind of incorporate the Soulscape. It was kind of like Soulscape Goes to Russia, which was my life. I mean, I went from here to LA. I got a gig with the great flute player named Hubert Laws. 31 years I've been Hubert's keyboard player.
Wow.
And
wow. That's great.
And you know, he is such a legend as a NEA jazz master that it's better than playing with Taylor Swift. It really is.
You
Because
mentioned her
anywhere
a couple
you go
of
in
times.
the world,
Yeah.
they know Hubert's music. Everybody knows his music anywhere. I mean, we were in Luanda, West Africa, and the president came to our tent and said, you know, whatever you guys want, I'll drive you around. I'll have it. So we had the government bringing us lobster and stuff, right? Yeah, and in Russia, because Hubert recorded so much Tchaikovsky stuff, you know, the people were weeping in these giant concert halls and coming in with their album from 1972 that they bought. You know, I mean, it's amazing. So Storyteller 2008 is kind of the bookends of that period. And then after I did all that, I just thought, well, nobody's killed me off yet. I guess I got to do more stuff. So the latest album for the band is called This Way Up, and I recorded it at Mighty Fine Studios in 2021. We had a huge party at Dazzle, which has been with me forever. I love Dazzle. And it's got Gabe Mervine, Joe Andrews, Liam Zom, who sadly moved away. And then who played bass on that? Oh, it was Andrew Rose. And who, I can't even remember. It's like a 5-piece festival band. We did 5 Points last year. So that's if you want to hear like the funky, you know, all that. But I love doing a trio, especially with complete strangers. Like, we've never done anything. This is our first gig. I met him at a jam session in a very dubious circumstance that, under time constraints, we don't have time to talk about that. And then we just rehearsed like for 20 minutes today or something, but he was very highly recommended. And so you're hearing us do, wave your arms, guys, like, oh.
Well, I guess that's the strength of a jazz musician's talent is, you know, being
improvisation, man.
Yeah.
Improvisation.
Definitely.
And, you know, you just have to draw that line where, you know, the IRS is not involved in your improvisation.
You're on the fly, man.
And then, right,
Yeah.
right, keep it to the stage and don't do it in your accounting. Or you'll end up like Gabe here in a striped shirt from we don't know where the shirt came from, actually. Are we making you late for movie night? We better play more.
All right, well, what are you going to play for us next year?
I think we're going to do one of my originals that's from an album called Nearness of You. And that's a trio record that I did in 2018. And I've always liked the trio format just because it's, you know, such an intimate and kind of cool thing where the piano really sets the tone. And it's called Tango Delicioso. You can find it online. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
You are hearing Rob Mullins Trio here live on KUVO, unfortunately for only another 30 minutes or so. And Rob, I wanted to ask you, I was going through your website, Planet Mullins.
Right.
And I noticed in the list of people that you've worked with, Hubert Laws, Crusaders, Diane Reeves, Dave Grusin, Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston's wedding.
Uh-huh.
Could you just expound on that a little bit?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that, especially starting with a disclaimer, don't hire my band for your wedding because look how it works out in the end. it never lasts. I was playing in an all-star band that was based in New York City and Hollywood. It was called the China Club All-Stars. And it was a jam band on Monday nights. So the guys that we would have would be Skunk Baxter from Steely Dan on guitar, and then we had Steve Ferroni from Tom Petty's band was the drummer. On bass we had Tim Scott. We had the Memphis Horns when they were in town. We had Lee Thornburg, Jimmy Roberts from Rod Stewart's band, who is on some of my records as well. Just these like killer A-list players. But it was a jam session with a house band. So the guy that ran it, it was funny too, because I could say this now that he's passed on. It's almost always the worst musician gets all the gigs. Like this guy set up this huge percussion rig and it was like, okay, thanks for the great gig. Please don't play anything. You know, but nicest cat, and he just knew everybody in the business. And one day we were at the China Club thing. It was at a place called Barfly on Sunset in Hollywood. And he said, we got a special thing coming up in a couple of months, but everybody's got to sign paperwork now because if this gets out, we're all in trouble. So we signed the paperwork and he says, it's going to be Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston wedding. And I'm in charge of booking all the entertainment. I found out later the music budget for that afternoon was $500,000, right? And we were opening for the Gypsy Kings, basically, because Jennifer Aniston is of Greek descent and all of her family came over. So they had like the whole dancing thing. It was at Marcy Carsey's house in Malibu, and she was the producer of The Cosby Show. But we were under all these legal situations and stuff, so the rehearsals were all secret. The choir was H.P. Barnum, which is a very famous black choir in LA, and we're getting all the music together, and then finally it comes to the day that we're gonna do this thing, and we literally were blindfolded and like on PCH in Malibu, okay, put on the thing. When you put it on, and then you go up the thing and you're going, you know, this, you get there. And then they had set up these portable security areas, kind of like the airport, where you go through metal detectors and all that. The entire security team was Mossad. It was all imported Israeli guys. And by now, you know, I don't have any money left anymore, so go ahead and sue me for talking about it. Brad doesn't have any left either. But anyway, so a couple of things that were notable is that because of all the airplanes and the paparazzi and TMZ and all that, the Israelis carry these huge aluminum foil reflector panels, and they shine them at the helicopter pilots in the face to get those guys to leave, right? And we had one rehearsal at Marcy's house, and then like 2 days later, we did the show. And it was unbelievable. I mean, I just met so many guys. We're hanging out with that crowd. It was Cindy Crawford and Matt Dillon and Brooke Shields. And at the actual wedding, I sat right behind David Spade. And that was like the best sit down behind the guy comedy, because he had like two supermodels on this side, two on this side. He was blasted. It was during the day. I was at like 1 in the afternoon. And just his little under the breath comments were like, when I grow up, I want to be as disturbed as that guy. So, you know, I did the gig. It was fantastic. And from there, you know, I've continued to do, be lucky enough to do quite a few of those Hollywoody kind of things. So that's the story. And I'm sticking to it.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, of course, the backlash on the internet is like, okay, well, what kind of socks did Brad Pitt have on? What? I don't know. Well, you were standing right there next to him. What kind of watch is he wearing? Is she still wearing Gucci? I'm like, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I had like 60 songs to learn, and Melissa Etheridge was there, and we were backing her up, and so, you know. But yeah, that was a fun couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, great story. Thanks
Yeah,
for sharing.
well, you know, I got a million of them. So.
All right. Rob Mullins live here with the trio on KUVO. What you got next?
Tangerine. 1, 2, 1. Nice. Yeah. Thank you.
You're listening to the Rob Mullins Trio with Rob on piano, Gabe Roop on bass, and Alejandro Castaño on drums. Live here on KUVO. Rob, it's an honor to have you guys here tonight. Just wonderful, wonderful music.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you. I wanted to ask you, yes.
Thank you, guys.
I wanted to ask you about the congressional award that you received for public service.
Right. So, not long after I'd done this wedding that ended up being a disastrous relationship for Brad and Jen, I got a call to sub for Kirk Whalum, the amazing saxophone player. And I already had played on 3 or 4 of his albums, and he was tied up in France doing something, and he called and said, I need a sub. And I was like, okay, well, I play piano, you play sax. No, you're going to be hosting a Boys and Girls Club national benefit concert at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium. And I was like, what's the catch? And he says, it's the Boys and Girls Club of America, and the committee already all hate you. I was like, great, I'll take the gig. So I found myself driving every Thursday afternoon for 8 weeks in a row from the beach where I lived all the way to Pasadena during rush hour, because the meetings were from 6 to 8 p.m. And I was able to get some great players. I had Ronnie Laws on the gig. I had Alphonso Johnson. I had Ndugu Chancellor, who played with George Duke and the Crusaders and everybody. He was on drums. I had Dwight Sills on guitar, who I played in the Crusaders with Dwight, and then a couple of other singers and stuff. So, but the good thing for me is that I had never been a part of an organization like that, and I learned about it from those meetings. You know, because you get into these meetings and they say, well, yeah, that idea is not going to work because this and this might not, and we need volunteers, and there's never enough funding, and these kids are struggling, right? So I said, okay, well, I'll do whatever I can do. And I get down to the gig, and it's a high-pressure thing. I mean, when I was a really little kid, we would go to the Pasadena Civic, and that was like being in freaking LA Forum or something. And they sprang it on me at the concert. So we play like 4 tunes, and then they go, stop, and we have someone here from Congress to present a special award. And I'm thinking, okay, well, then Ndugu's going to win another Grammy.
Yeah, right.
You know, but they actually had a little thing for me, and they said, you know, for your public service to Boys and Girls Clubs. And they raised a lot of money. They raised like $100 grand that one night from all those stars. And that was in like 2000. So that's when 100 grand, you know, you could buy a drum set for 100 grand. So that's the story.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
absolutely.
Congratulations.
Well, you know, I lost that plaque in a move, but I still have the holder. It has a Marlboro Light burn on the corner and a coffee spill. 2 of the trademarks of my dubious career as a jazz dude.
I had no idea we were going to get a comedy hour out of you, Rob. This is wonderful.
Well, actually, that bass solo in the last tune would qualify. Oh!
Here we go.
I'm sorry, brother.
You'll have to watch this on YouTube.
He's having movie night. He can just go. He doesn't need me. Just like boom. What are you watching tonight? You know, Die Hard 6.
All right. All right. Let's hear some more of the Rob Mullins trio here.
When I Fall in Love.
What you got?
A little ballad for you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Such wonderful playing. Rob Mullins Trio on KUVO, Rob on piano, Gabe Roop on bass, and Alejandro Castaño on drums. You've done a lot of work producing pieces for television as well.
Yes.
Can you tell us about some of that?
Yeah, it's, you know, I try and do this. I run a little mentoring program now that the internet is so big, and like people can email you from all over the world, and I've taught college and workshops all over the place. And what was the question again?
Well, you got to make some money somehow. Television.
Oh yeah, working in TV. But what I tell people in my mentoring program, especially kids who have all this massive amount of distraction, because like I said, I would play a 6-hour live gig for $10, but I was out of the house, there was no computers, I was constantly being hit on by like debutantes from Aurora. Oh. See where that got me? But it wasn't like in the basement with a violent video game and then never leaving the house and all the darkness of the weird corners of the internet and people that you never meet and you never go anywhere. I mean, I see a lot of depression, right, with kids. So I always tell them the best thing you can do is just get out and meet people. That's why I think church is good. That's why I think KUVO is good. That's why I think jazz festivals are great. Get out and meet people. Even if you suck at a sport, and I suck at all of them, go out and, you know, make friends and do stuff, because that's how you create a network. That's how you keep a community strong. And I just, because of working with these amazing people like Hubert Laws and his brother Ronnie and Preston Glass, I got this call one day just out of the blue, and it's from a studio, and they said, Freddie Hubbard's going to be on Nickelodeon, and his keyboard player is sick. Oh. So I was like, cool.
Sure.
I'll show up. And the ironic thing is that during that period, Freddie Hubbard never went to anything. He just said, I'll be there, and he would get the money.
No show Freddie.
No, I mean, this happened year after year, but the guy who was the musical director for that Nickelodeon show that I can't remember said, hey man, you're really good. Do you play synthesizer? And I said, yeah. And he said, I'm doing a movie for CBS tomorrow morning at XYZ Studio on Lancashire Boulevard. Can you play solo cello? And I said, yes, because I had the little computer with the floppy disk and this stuff. And it said, one day Gabe Roop will be born and replace you. Yeah. He'll have a better shirt than you, plus he's got movie night. So that led to me doing regular series. Like, if you ever watched Moesha, with Brandy was the star of that. So I did about 35% of all the music that you hear at Moesha. I did The Proud Family, which was a hilarious black Disney cartoon. I did Sister Sister with those two black twins, Tia and Tamara. And it just all happened. I mean, you can see where I'm going. It's like somebody has to die, somebody has to get sick, and you have to leave your house to be part of that community, and that's how you get the jobs. So, you know, all of a sudden it was like it was doing all of this amazing stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to another one.
All right. All right, let's hear something else.
Yeah, we're going to play a song that, you know, we were talking earlier about all of my things on the internet are called Planet Mullins. Like, it's not robmullins.com because he's some goofy, like, even weirder than me guy that does, he's a dentist in Centennial, that's what he is.
Oh, that's funny right there.
Yeah, because I have people saying, hey man, you play piano, I didn't know you could fix a cavity. I'm like, no. But all of my stuff is called Planet Mullins all over the internet. So planetmullins.com, facebook.com/Planet Mullins, youtube.com // Planet Mullins. And if you go that far back to my Warner Brothers stuff, I actually did do wacky stuff like take 150 years of American history and record all of the sounds of everything from the Wright brothers to the NASA space launch and put a rapper on top of it. And that song is called Planet Mullins. All right? So that prompted me to get fired by a lot of prominent producers. And one of the things that I learned, though, in all these collaborations and doing studio stuff, and especially with these guys, is that there's a certain kind of thing when you are focused on maybe the cosmos or, you know, I'm not one of those guys that gets on and says, my side is the best. But, you know, you got to believe in all, you know, you got politics, left wing, right wing, same bird in the middle. It's all BS to me. But you start thinking if you collaborate from a, you know, more metaphysical side when you're playing jazz music, like Coltrane did towards the end, like Sun Ra. Does anybody know Sun Ra's orchestra? Yeah. Come on, man, I can still listen to that stuff even though I don't smoke weed. You know, I love that music. So we're going to take a jazz standard, but we're going to take it kind of out into outer space. This is called Star Eyes, and it features Alejandro.
show.
Thank you.
Rob Mullins Trio with Rob on piano, Gabriel bass, Alejandro Castaño on drums. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much for doing this. What a great show. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, you guys.
And now time to roll the credits. Special thanks to the Bonfils Stanton Foundation, Drum City Guitarland in Wheat Ridge, owned, operated, and staffed by working musicians since 1965. Schmidt Music in Inglewood, specializing in pianos, keyboards, band and orchestra instruments, sheet music, and more. Grace Design Pro Audio in Lyons, Colorado. And donors to the Carlos Lando Musician and Event Fund, with support from engineer Klaus Larson,
Klaus.
assistant audio engineer Rain Caseman, and a special thanks to creative services support by Mark Montour-Larson and Alec Kenefick.
Beautiful.
And most to our KUVO Studio Club and Beat Collective members. Thank you. Rob had no idea we'd get such a show tonight, but thank you. Rob Mullins Trio live on KUVO. Andy O is next with the Night Beat.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.